Can I dress up as Chris?
Why do you got to make this weird, Jamie?
Welcome to Makers International, a podcast of makers from 3 countries, 2 continents, and featuring 5 guys separated only by the same language. Here's your host, Richard Morley.
Good evening, good morning, good lunchtime, good afternoon, good night, whatever time it is, wherever you're listening, wherever that may be. We're back again. It's episode 3 now of Makers International. And as always, I'm joined with Chris Cute.
Hello.
And Mr. Joe Whitaker.
You're right, Tam, yeah.
Alan Robertson, the woodworking junkie.
G'day, all. And
of course, fresh from the nut house, it's Jamie Page as always. Hello, Jamie.
How you going?
Good stuff. Well, it's good to have you all here on my little island for the night. Before we really kick off, I do wish to have a few thank yous for people. Obviously, we're not doing Patreon, but people are commenting and interacting with us on our various platforms. So a big thank you to Rob Appleman. I hope I'll get your name right over on SoundCloud. He wishes us all the best. And Azales, who left some fantastic comments on our YouTube channel saying that he could directly relate to what we were talking about, which is pretty cool. And also the other nice comments that are out there on YouTube from Carol over at KK Make, Temple Boy Turnings, Sharp Edge Woodworking, Shogun Jimmy, and Mr. Ian Hay. So thank you very much for leaving all those nice comments and interacting with us. There are other people, I'm sure. There's a couple of guys that have taken the time to rate us, give us the old 5-star ratings on iTunes, which obviously helps. That's Badger Workshop and DMIG. So thanks to everyone for that. Like I said, I know we've had shares on other platforms as well. So keep up the good things. I would also, I know I'm going on a bit now, but I would also like to make a special thank you. This is a last minute thank you to Mr. Jason McGinn over on the Maritime Makers Show, because it's my understanding that he gave us a special shout out for the episode that came out, which I think was at the weekend. So that's pretty good. So anyway, what is everyone up to? I certainly want to know. Chris, have you forgiven Alan yet for his prank?
I've forgiven him, but I haven't forgotten. Let's put it that way.
Everybody tells me I better watch out. You're coming for me now.
Good.
I haven't forgiven him.
Yeah.
Because even if that prank was, even if it did go through, then we still could have been one man down with the way Chris was reacting.
He nearly had a heart attack.
Yeah, Alan will never see it coming. That's the last I'll say about that. No, I've been good. I did, like I mentioned last week. I did the Steve Ramsey's Maker Care video that I put out for the Make-A-Wish Foundation, and then tonight I've got a new video coming out. And it's nothing big. It's just a table saw tip video about an unbelievably simple tip, a trick that you can do on your table saw and I've been using a table saw since I was a kid, and this just never freaking occurred to me. And I saw somebody do something, and so I just kind of passed on that knowledge. And it's a goofy video, but that will be out later on tonight. So that's kind of what I'm up to. Pretty
much all your videos have got a little bit of goofiness in them. Good.
I'm getting nothing but love today, man. Move on.
Excellent. So, Alan, what about yourself, mate? What are you up to?
This past weekend, not 20 minutes ago, I just finished rendering out my video for this weekend. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Opa Costner. It's Opa's Wood Shop over on YouTube. He issued out a challenge called the New Life Challenge. What he wanted us to do was go find a piece of trash on the side of the road, bring it in and breathe some new life into it, make it pretty. And I think I absolutely killed it. I found an old, last minute too. I wasn't even going to take the challenge because I couldn't find anything. Last minute, I found a old cast iron chair where the wood was just rotted right to nothing on it. I refinished all the cast iron, painted it black, put some new pine slats into it, and rounded everything over real nice. You can see the video up on YouTube probably. Well, I guess now it would be 4 days ago.
Magic. Did you have to get a bolt crop to the chain when you found this thing Or
Believe it or not, I fit it. I fit it into the back seat of my Chrysler 300. Believe it or not, it is a bigger car for a car, but I almost broke the window putting it in. It was slightly tight.
Nerve-wracking on the way home, going over the bumps.
We got her home though.
Good
Well,
stuff.
good date.
How about you, Jamie? Are you busy at the moment?
Not at the moment. At the weekend, I did actually take a trip to Abbey Road Studios.
I saw that on Facebook.
Yeah, one of the reasons for going there was not only did I want to see it myself, but Eloy Escovedo, I think that's how you pronounce his name. He is arguably one of the biggest Beatles fans I've ever spoke to.
Right.
And when I went to London a few months ago, I kind of said that I was going to go to Abbey Road and I'll take some pictures for him, blah, blah, blah. And due to time constraints, I never got to go there. So this time I purposely made that trip just to go to Abbey Road. And I done like a little live video on Facebook and things like that. But one of the things he didn't realise what I had done was I actually wrote his name in direct line with the steps to the entrance to Abbey Road Studios. And he sent me a message on Facebook saying that he nearly lost bowel control when he saw that. So yeah, that was he was over the moon with that, and it's good because it's little things like that can mean so much to somebody else. So I was glad that he was happy with that.
Cool. So there's currently a wanted a warrant out for your arrest for defacing public property at the side of Abbey Road.
There was hundreds of millions of people way before me. But yeah, I mean, my next project is I'm hoping to get the Steve Ramsey thing out next. So yeah, so you can keep an eye out for that.
Nice. I shall look out for that with bated breath. And Joe, what are you up to, my fella?
Well, I was actually sent a logo that was made by the YouTube channel You Do It, and he did my Average Joe's Photography logo, like my Instagram account logo. And I was racking my brains, how could I finish it and stuff like that. And that's what I've really been working on. I got caught up with it today. I've been using some clear epoxy resin and had a nightmare with the bubbles. I mean, I tried all the tips what I'd seen like pt.01 use and everything like that, but it still turned out pretty bad. But I think I'm gonna save it and I'm gonna try and turn it into a table so I can photograph my smaller projects on it, just something simple. But then after that, I want to try some breeze block carving for Steve Ramsey's Makers Care, so I got an idea on the back burner ready for that one.
Joe, did you try a torch on those bubbles?
Yeah, I did, and I think I started cooking it at one stage because
Okay.
the centre of it started to cure, so all the rest was all still tacky, and then it went rock hard in the middle, full of bubbles. So I was like, right, put the torch down, leave it, and just deal with what's left at the end, sort of thing. So
it can be a bit. I've had stuff. I've got it too hot before, and it just like as if it's boiling in a saucepan, it gets worse. And you think, oh, it's supposed to be making better, and it all gets confusing. I think there's a lot of skill and practice involved in that, as much of an art as anything else. But were you using an epoxy, like a casting resin, or was it just for coating?
I believe it's casting. It's that West Systems epoxy. So like I just mix the one in the hardener sort of thing,
Yeah.
the slow hardener. So never done it before, so.
I think practice, more practice. Ditch the milli part and go with the clear stuff.
Definitely.
Because you can dye the clear stuff as well. Well, I actually, considering I spent all last week away, I really have been so busy, but I haven't actually achieved anything because I think you guys know, listeners might not, I'm not a full-time YouTuber, so I've been following up on customer requests and going out and doing quotes and all sorts, and basically paying catch up for the whole time. But I'm really excited because at the end of this week, fingers crossed, assuming I actually pull my finger out and get all the jobs done that I need to do, I might be having a film crew come to my workshop. That's quite exciting, so stay tuned for that. And also I'm trying to organise a visit to a really big company, their kind of head office, to see all their toys and get some inspiration from them. So I won't give away too much right now because it might not happen, but hopefully it will. And when it does, then I can bore you all to death with the with that. So I think that's probably enough from me on that subject. So let's go into the main topic. We've got a whole load of questions here from various sources. that people have asked us to go through. So what I think I'll do is I'll read out the first question. You guys, if you want to chip in with some answers and get the floor rolling. So first question is, do you guys spend a lot of time watching other people's YouTube videos? How many other channels do you subscribe to?
I don't subscribe to too many because I find it takes up too much of your time.
Yeah.
I know I was talking with James Wright. He tells me he has subscribed to over 400 channels and he watches all their videos. I don't know where he finds the time.
Wow.
I keep mine more compressed down to like less, probably about, I would guess that at about 30, but I'm always highly active on every one of my subscriptions. So I don't want to subscribe if I don't watch, to be honest with you.
So I've got to be honest. I'm a bit like James. I try to watch maybe 2, 3, even more hours a day watching videos, and I do try and watch as many as I can. And if I don't watch all of them that day, I will pick up the next day what I didn't watch the day before. And I easily watch, God knows how many videos, but I'm easily subscribed to over 300 subscribers. And one of the things about that is when you're watching a video, it's easily you can easily wander off into, like, say I'm watching a turning video of how to make a lidded box, for example, and you get one in the suggestions bar down the side. It's so easy to just wander off and you think, oh, he looks like a great turner. Bang, it's subscribe.
It's YouTube rabbit hole. It's so easy to fall down.
Yeah, and I think that's how I've easily managed to get over 300 subscribers. And the thing is, they're such great makers, you can't help but subscribe to them. So yeah, that's my story with watching makers.
Well, I'd say with me, I subscribe to a vast variety of channels, not just making channels. There's a few vloggers that I like to follow, and a few gaming channels as well. I'm still not fully grown up, I suppose, in that respect. But I subscribe.
Nerd alert! Nerd alert! Nerd alert!
I don't mind. I'll take that. But I'm subscribed to about 85 channels, and I always work myself from the bottom of my subscriptions, work to the top. So, like last week, I didn't watch any videos, so I've been catching up with them. But I tend to like to watch YouTube when I'm eating. So I'll get up, and when I'm having my breakfast, I'll watch some making videos to get me in the mood to go out in the shed and have a go for the day, sort of thing. And then when I'm having my tea, I'll be watching my vloggers and stuff, see what everyone's been up for their day. So I get into a routine with YouTube, but then it does it gets on top of you with a lot of subscriptions, and it's like,
yeah,
you don't want to miss people's videos, and like everyone was saying, interacting with them. I'm a part of the community. I want to be commenting on everyone's videos and stuff like that, so I feel really bad if one slipped by me, but I do get to them in the end. I'll get to them eventually, so I enjoy it.
Joe, just so you know, you're not alone. I'm subscribed to a couple gaming channels and vlog channels too, and I am an absolute closet McJuggerNugget fan. I have to watch him.
Oh,
I have to watch the Psycho series every single day. I don't care if it's for 12-year-olds; it's for me too.
Oh.
That's it.
No, Alan, it fits.
I watch while I'm eating as well, so it probably explains why I've got over 300 subscribers.
I subscribe to you guys are, oh my god, I subscribe to, I've never counted how many subscriptions I have, to whoever's asking the question. I've got a lot, and only because I learn a lot from everybody. I pick up things from everybody, so I will subscribe to anybody that I discover, and I will subscribe. I don't interact on every video because, quite honestly, because I subscribe to so many channels, I get a lot of input into my feed, and I will just kind of click on the ones that are interesting to me, and then if I'm interested in it and I have a comment, I'll leave it. But I wake up at ungodly hours. I don't know if you guys notice that. I wake up at like 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning every morning, and I can't make noise. I can't make any noise because my wife is sleeping, and she gets up and goes to work at 6 a.m. So I've got 4 hours to kill in the morning, and I normally just throw the headphones on and watch videos then. So I spend a fair amount of time just trying to keep quiet and be awake and get my mind working by watching other people's stuff. So that's kind of how, that's my answer to it.
Yeah, I'll agree with Alan. It can be a real rabbit hole potentially. My I couldn't honestly tell you how many I subscribe to, but it is a lot. I don't know the number, but I tend to use my watch later list. Do you guys use that?
Yeah, all the time.
You can click a video to watch later. So I'll see something that's interesting that comes up in my feed, and then I'll watch that later. I'll watch that later, and then I'd use that as a focal point to go out. But it can be very distracting when, obviously time is limited. You have to fit things in whenever possible, shall I say. I'll leave it at that, I think. But when you're on your own, you get like 5 minutes on your own occasionally. So another one here is much of this making community seems to be focused mostly on people in the US. I do applaud you guys for trying to call attention to the fact that it's a worldwide thing, but why do you think it's that way currently? Maybe I've got the wrong perspective. You tell me. I think for me, the only reason it's kind of US weighted is through sheer numbers. There's more people in the US, so you play the stats game, there's going to be more people interested in whatever it is you're watching. So for me, I think that's just a number. I don't think percentage wise it actually is weighted in any particular country. I don't know what you guys think.
If you look at it from Canada versus USA, we're talking 30 million versus 300 million. So of course it's going to seem more US generated. Of course, that was going to be my answer.
Well, that's a good point, because let's be honest. I mean, we're all English speaking people. I mean, I'm not bilingual. But you know what? That may not be the case for people that are using YouTube in Japan or Slovenia, or they may think it's all Russian based or Japanese based, and wonder why. The same question. Now, I watch whatever I'm related to. I mean, if it's English speaking and I can understand it, I'll watch it.
But even then, I mean, think about something like the way Jimmy DeResta puts his videos together, and a lot of other people do as well. Mm-hmm. There's no voice. So right. Even if you can't necessarily understand the Russian guy or the Japanese guy, you can still watch the video.
Oh, exactly. But that's the genius of what DeResta does.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't think it's weighted in any one direction.
I think it has just got to be sheer numbers. I think that's what it'll always come down to. I mean, like, if you go away from YouTube side of things to the TV, if you've got viewing figures in the US in the hundreds of millions, and you got your PBS woodworking shows and stuff like that, there's not really a viable market in the UK, I could see, for them to make that profitable. So it tends to always be, right, here's the biggest audience, let's concentrate on them, and them are the ones that always get filtered through to the public. So, I mean, it's the same with shops and stores and different stuff like that. Like, I have the opinion that America's got everything and the UK's got nothing.
I mean, you've only just got to take a look at James Corden, for example.
Yeah.
Why hasn't he stayed in the UK to make TV programs? Why? Because he can get a bigger name working in America.
Exactly.
Make more money.
Fair play to him. I like James.
Yeah. So, yeah, it is all about numbers, I think, at the end of the day.
Definitely from a TV/music industry point of view, because there is money involved in that. But I think for a YouTuber, there's probably not so much the money side of it in terms of what you gain or what you get. Or
yeah, I was thinking more along the lines of getting people started. So if you're growing up in the States and woodworking and making is much more commercial, like you go past your DIY stores more regular, it's on the TV more regular, then I suppose that goes hand in hand with more people picking up the hobby and more people thinking, oh, I'll put a camera on while I'm making it. So that's just what I was thinking.
Cool. Okay. Well, this next question is a really good one. I'm looking forward to seeing your guys' answers to this. Someone's asked, while watching many YouTube videos of woodworkers, and noticed that almost all of you don't use the blade guards on your table saw. Every manufacturer suggests their use, so I'm wondering why this safety feature seems to be universally ignored.
Personally, I think a lot more people feel more comfortable using their table saws when they can visually see the blade and where it's actually going.
Have you taken it off your table saw?
I have, yeah. And also, I mean, you can get a lot more cuts without the guard on there, and you can use jigs on the saw without the guard on there as well.
Yeah.
So quite honestly, it is a hindrance having it on there for starters, but it is safety at the end of the day. So put it on there when you don't need to use the jigs and so forth, but take it off when you need to.
I agree with John Heiss's site on this, which is the operator. It should always be the safest part of the tool. It shouldn't.
Yeah.
You don't need what's it called, saw stops.
Yeah,
or
without doubt.
You don't need micro jigs. I mean, they're certainly helpful. They're not a bad thing by any means, but it's the operator himself who should be 100% safe at all times. And if you're doing everything correctly, you're going to be fine.
Absolutely. My first table saw that I had was completely battered. It was kind of a hand-me-down of a hand-me-down of a hand-me-down. I was about the fifth person to have it. And the arbor actually wobbled, so it wouldn't cut a straight line. And that was my first real use for a table saw. And I just stopped. I actually stopped using it after the second go because I thought
that was scary.
Well, first time I thought it was me not doing it right because it was just me with a table saw learning how to use it. And after the second time of getting the same result and thinking that's not the way, I stopped using it. And it wasn't for about 2 years that I bought the table saw I've got now. And the first thing I did was take this big plastic thing off the top. And then the riving knife, which the guard bolted to, stuck up right above the blade by about 1.5 inches. So that was fine. It was obviously the riving knife's there and it was doing its thing. But just like Jamie said with the jigs, I then built a sled and the riving knife got in the way. So of course, the first thing I did, I took the riving knife off and then just never put it back on. And it occurred to me one day, that's a really bad idea. So I actually took an angle grinder to it and chopped the top sort of 1.5 inches off. And if you look at any of my videos, you'll see that I've got the full length riving knife. It's about 3 inches long, but it's just below the blade. Now I can see what's going on with the blade. I can do my kind of halfway cuts if I'm doing laps or something like that, but I don't have to keep swapping it in and out. And for me, that's a good compromise.
Yeah, and I'm guessing from the perspective this question is coming from, because it's coming from somebody who's wondering why everything he sees, he doesn't see the blade guard on the table saws. And quite honestly, there's a total different aspect to that, because if you have a blade guard on your table saw, and it refers back to what you were just talking about, Richard, as far as being able to see what you're doing when you're filming videos. It's impossible to show the viewer what is going on with a blade guard on. So there's the video aspect to it too. It's removed to help the watcher see what is happening as well. I mean, I don't want to make excuses, but I mean, in a lot of cases that is the fact. It's removed so you can see what's going on.
I must confess, when I first started watching telly programs, people like Norm Abrams and Tommy Walsh, who's a UK sort of person, and there was a couple of other people. It would always, like, you'd have the text on the screen that says guards may have been removed for the purposes of filming only. It did make me think, is that real? Do they actually, or is it that just a covering the production team's sort of back in case somebody tries to copy?
Probably a little of both, to be honest with you.
I think, well, yeah, but I've actually noticed, and I don't know if anyone else has picked up on this, a lot of people are starting to use those blade covers now because of the extraction.
Yeah, the dust collection, I've noticed that.
And sort of in the last maybe 3 or 4 months, and it makes me think, I wonder if there's a reason to sort of go back a step and put it back on and do that. So I don't use it because it suits me, but I'm in two minds at the moment. Do I go back to it or not? So
I'll go more along the lines of, like Alan was saying, the John Heiss's philosophy. I think you've got to be confident with the tool. And my very first table saw that I brought was second hand, and it didn't come with a blade guard at all. So that was how I started, which I suppose gave me that bit of confidence. But as soon as the blade guard's covering the blade, like Jamie was saying, and you can't see it, I lose that little bit of confidence. I don't know what the blade's doing because I can't see it. As soon as I can see everything, I know where my hands are, I know what I'm doing, and I can get on with the cut without so much worries of, right, what's going on underneath this big Unca plastic over the top. When I've done reviews of table saws, I've always said, like, I don't recommend removing any safety feature, but you've got to be confident with the tool you're using. So do what makes you comfortable and just be safe in what you're doing, and you shouldn't go wrong.
Yeah, I mean, I think it comes down to comfort and then confidence comes from being comfortable rather than the other way around. So that's excellent. Okay, then. So I'm trying to get, not me personally, the question, obviously, I'm trying to get a grasp on the whole social circle you guys have talked about. Tell me, is there anyone you don't like? It just seems unreal to me.
Yeah, there is someone. I'm going to call him out.
I'm nervous now.
Joe Walters from Joe Basement Woodworking. I'm going to call him out. He picked on my mate Alan and then called it an intervention. So, yeah, I'm gonna call him out, name and shame him.
Hey, Jamie,
What?
that wasn't real, buddy.
What do you mean it weren't real?
We wrote that. That was a collaboration.
Oh, was it? Oh,
Are you kidding me? That wasn't real, dude. Joe and I are bros.
in that case, I love everybody.
Obviously, viewers can't see this, but whilst everyone's rolling around on the floor laughing, I'm currently breathing a huge sigh of relief here.
Joe and I have been in a bromance ever since the intervention series.
Oh, fair play.
Jamie, you're hilarious.
Okay, let me try and reel this back in. Joe, do you hate anyone?
Oh, hate is a very strong word, but after
It is, yeah.
after just seeing Jamie's mix up, I think people who take things a bit too seriously have got to be take everything with a pinch of salt, I think. But no, I haven't come across anybody that I don't like. If I don't like them, I won't talk to them, and that's it. But I haven't had any issues in this maker community so far, touch wood. But no, I've had no bad blood between anybody at all.
We would all be lying if we didn't say there isn't channels out there we didn't like, but that's a far cry away from hate. And I'm not going to say I hate anybody, but I'm also not going to say the names of any channels I don't like.
No, Chris Cute.
No, yeah.
Save us, Chris. Save us.
Everyone pick on Chris. You got 2 minutes. Go.
It seems to be the fad nowadays, doesn't it? Let's just go ahead and make Chris look like a I don't know. Do I do
did a good job at itself?
yeah. Oh, Jamie. I take back.
Sorry,
I don't like. Yeah. I hate Jamie Page currently at the moment. Yes.
Agreed.
But no, I don't dislike anybody. I mean, are there some channels that I watch more than others? Yeah, of course, because some people are just more aligned to my interests. But no, I hopefully get along with everybody. I really try hard not to make enemies, and if I do, I keep them closer than my friends. That's just good advice. I mean, so, yeah, no, I know.
Which would be us for.
Yeah, that's why you started a podcast with us.
Yeah, that's why. Yeah, I'm keeping an eye on all 4 of you guys right now.
No, I think I'd have to definitely agree. And I mean, it's difficult to, when you interact with people at work or on the street or face to face, you get a much better grasp of people. Obviously, that goes without saying. And it's difficult to meet so many of these makers. But I can genuinely, hand on heart, say that out of all the makers I've seen on the internet that I've actually met in person, they've all been just 100% genuine and nice people. So just taking that as the average, the assumption is everyone's nice. But as Chris said, you watch more people than others, and that's just life, isn't it? Right then, where do you guys get different types of wood that you use? So talking about suppliers here, this person's only has limited access and sort of the big box stuff. Where do you guys get your nicer timbers from?
Well, I'm lucky enough to have a mill, not 10-minute drive from me, that has literally everything you could dream of. And if they don't have it, they'll order it for you, and it'll be there within a couple of weeks. And they'll deliver it to your house as well for free. So huge shout out to Hoffmeyer's Mill out in Sebringville, Ontario. The guys are absolute masters over there. I love them.
So the gentleman's asking where we get the materials that we work with, because he's only limited to big box stuff.
Yeah.
Quite honestly, just until yesterday, I was limited to the big box store stuff too. And I don't know what your so quote unquote big box stores are like in the UK, but the ones here in Connecticut, anyway, the only kind of, I guess, decent hardwoods they actually provide is you have a choice of oak, maple, and poplar. And those are the 3 species of hardwood that they supply you with. And that was it. But yesterday, and I want to blow horns like Tim Sway does in the Reclaimed Audio podcast for Jimmy DeResta every episode, because I just found a mill that is less than an hour away from me. I have yet to go visit it. I don't know what they have, but there's a mill I finally found here in Connecticut, and I will go take a look and see what they have, because I would love to work with some walnut and some more what I want to say upscale woods than what the big box stores find. So my supply is very limited as well currently, but hopefully that will change.
I'm kind of glad to hear that, because being an American, Chris, here in the UK, we do get that sort of impression that there's loads available just on your doorstep. I think Jamie and Joe would agree with that. Would you guys?
Yeah, without a doubt. Yeah,
that would definitely be a misconception. That would be a misconception. Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, every time we click on a YouTube video, it's people are using curly maple and walnut, and it's sort of like, well, I've got a bit of plywood. Is that okay?
Yeah.
And it seemed like it may be the misconception, but it does seem like the people in the States and Canada get what we would call exotic hardwoods so easily, and yet for us it's so hard and so more expensive as well.
You're actually making me feel kind of bad for you. I never realized that. Like, I'm not kidding. I can literally get anything like that. It's never even been a second thought to me. I've never had to have that worry before.
I went to my local woodyard and I said to him when I went up there, because I actually had to go up there and get some 2x4s or 4x2s if you're in Europe. And I said to him, do you by any chance keep any exotic woods? And he said, oh, we keep a little bit of walnut. And I was like, is that it? And he was like, yeah. He just said there's not a huge call out for exotic woods. I was like, you're joking. And he was like, no.
Okay, so what's it like? Do you guys have to buy online and have it delivered like through UPS or whatever? That's insane.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
I do. I get this question most out of everything, because I use quite a lot of walnut myself and quite a few exotic woods. When I very first started, I was stuck to your big box stores. In the UK, we got like B&Q and Wickes, and that's where I was always heading. Now, B&Q has actually started stocking some very small sections of oak for like cutting boards and stuff like that, but it's really expensive, so I can't recommend you getting that. But I use 3 different places. So I'll go to Exotic Hardwoods UK Limited, and they have got, as you can guess, all your exotic woods, and them really reasonably priced. You don't have to do a maximum, like a minimum order, I should say. So like a lot of the online stores, you need to spend at least £900 to get a delivery. These you can just order one board if you want, and it's quite cheap. Then I use SLH Hardwoods, and they do loads of exotic woods as well, but they're much cheaper, and you can get larger boards from them as well. And I also discovered Arnold Laver. They stock a lot of hardwoods, and you can actually go and look at them in person. And if you go on Arnold Laver's website, you can put in your postcode and see which is the closest one to you. So I can recommend all 3 of those if you're in the UK at least.
Yeah, so I'm thinking of quite a few online and visit timber places, actually, Jamie, and because you're down south coast, have you been down to Yandles?
I was actually just going to mention that one. That's where I've been recently getting some wood turning blanks from. The quality of them blanks are just unbelievably brilliant. I actually left a review on their site today. I bought like a £10 sack of them, and as soon as I saw them, I was like, right, put in another order. They're brilliant, absolutely brilliant.
Good stuff. I think there's probably enough mileage in just this question to do an entire show around, actually, guys. I mean, while we're on the subject, when I was working primarily from Cambridge, which is in East Anglia, and that sort of fat little disc in the southeast of the UK, I was very much limited, like Joe was saying, with timber stores, builders merchants, and the only hardwoods were sapele and a bit of oak. But they sit around for ages because nobody really wants them that often. They're all twisted. By the time you get to use it, it's pretty much useless. It might as well still be on the tree. But coming further towards the East Midlands, around Northamptonshire, where I do a lot of work as well, there's probably 4 sawmills, timber merchants, within half an hour's drive from me here, and I can pretty much get anything. Big chunks of Babinga, Cocobolo, Zebrano, all your maples, walnuts. There's a big choice there. So I think there's a huge mileage in, and I think actually in the UK we've probably got the advantage that people like Chris and Alan have got, because everything in the UK is closer together.
Yeah, that's true.
So, you know, just naturally everything's closer, and I think with a little bit of digging around, there's loads to choose from if you start asking around. So what do you reckon, guys? Should we revisit this down the line sometime?
I think so, yeah.
Because there are so many alternate sources for actually getting different timber to work with that we could do an entire show on this.
Cool. Okay then. Well, how about if you're listening now, wherever you are in whatever country it is, leave some kind of comment, link, make reference to on any of our platforms about where you get your timber from, and if you want us to delve into this deeper, and then down the line we'll collate all that together and say maybe do a show on it at some point in the future. Should we do that? I think there's plenty of because there's loads of questions here that I don't want to get sort of stuck on one, as it were, but this is a really good question. I've got a question here about I'd like to set up a YouTube channel, but I don't want to make a half-hearted effort when they do. Can we suggest things that people should or shouldn't do? So somebody's basically looking to set up a channel and they want a bit of advice as to, things to do and things not to do.
First thing I did was recon. I mean, I wanted to set up, it depends on what you want to do personally. I wanted to set up a slightly different kind of maker channel than what everybody was seeing, because I had just started woodworking. So my original idea was like a vlog channel where everybody watches my progression in woodworking as time goes on, as opposed to teaching woodworking or just being there woodworking. But, based on that, I did as much recon as I could. Watch. Just watch as many videos as possible. Be yourself. Don't try to copy anybody, but just do a lot of recon.
I would go down the line of a lot of people get hung up on the equipment that you need, like cameras and microphones and lighting and stuff like that. But 9 out of 10 people, I suppose, you've all got your smartphones. The camera on those, they're perfect for YouTube videos. They really am. So you don't need anything more than that. But one of the biggest things, and I had this problem when I was starting out, was recording everything and leaving everything into the edit. I see a lot of new people, you'll have like half an hour to an hour long video and you're showing every single step. So my first tip would be show a little bit of the step that you're doing and then move on to the next one, because the viewer watching the video can really get the idea of, right, so he's done that now, he's made those cuts and now he's moving on. When I was making my first videos, I showed every single cut in normal speed, every single glue up, every single hole I drilled and screw I put in. So that's something that I've definitely cut down on, and I think to get a good rolling start, get that into your mind and think, right, do they really need to be seeing this, and cut back as much as you can.
I think a lot of that stems into what you're trying to get across. Are you trying to, like Mark Spagnola does, and actually teach the techniques in full, in which case obviously you need all the steps, but are you just making something because you enjoy it, which is, I think, probably most people. A lot of the people that are watching chances are, I suspect, have got a bit of a making habit, for want of a better expression, and so they, like you say, Joe, they don't need to see every little step. They can almost kind of read into that. And that obviously, when you're subscribed to a million different channels, that helps watch all those channels as well, because you haven't got to skip through and miss things.
The only thing I would add is, if you're looking to start a YouTube channel, my first advice to you would be to, my friend, start it, because you kind of, and I don't know about anybody else, but you kind of find your way as you go. And if you're and now, hey, look, granted, there is a lot to say about first impressions we all make. So I understand you want to come out of the gate good. If I'm interpreting this question correctly, this is a guy who wants to come out of the gate looking good to begin with. Well, okay. Well, you know what? Tell you what you do. Start your YouTube channel. Make several videos and post them to unlisted so that nobody can see them. And then as you grow and do 3, 4, 5, 6 videos, you're going to finally kind of get it. And then when you feel like maybe I'm kind of catching on to this, then go ahead and publish them and make them public. And then that way your first impression is the best impression you can start with. I guess if I had to do it over again, that's probably how I would have done it. I didn't. I just took the, oh, hell, let's go do this. And just started. And my first videos are absolutely horrible. But I still am not good, but I'm trying. And so, but you got to kind of find your niche. But the best way to get started is to get started. Just get out there and make the first cut. Hello.
Nice plug.
nice little slide there. I like that.
Shameless self-promotion. Sorry.
Yeah, you just got to be an average Joe and get out there and get to go, I suppose.
Anyone else? Yeah, I totally agree with you there, Chris. You got to just get on and do it, and you'll find your own way. And at the end of the day, even if you do look back on your own videos and think that was awful, that says so much more. And to me personally, and I suspect a lot of YouTubers and people that watch, that's got far more credibility than just sitting back, get out and do it. And you'll learn as you go along, and you'll have fun, and you'll make new friends, and then things will start coming in, and your brain will be fizzing with ideas down the line there. Yes, I got one in.
You got one in. That worked in nicely.
Definitely. So yeah, just crack on and get it done. Another one here. I listened to your first podcast and enjoyed hearing about how each of you got into making things. Any chance you would tell us more about your personal life journey? Again, I think we could probably do 5 episodes on this. I would certainly be more open to that. Would you guys be?
I was going to suggest that. In the near future that we each have our own specific spotlight episode here on Makers International.
That's a good idea. I like that idea.
That could be quite cool.
What a bunch of camera hogs. Jeez. Okay. Yeah, I guess we could do that.
Yes.
Could you make an episode all about me, please? Thank you. Okay. No, Alan, I'm just giving you a hard time. That's a good idea.
I'll tell you what, I'll be up for that as long as it's you, Alan, and not your alter ego.
Oh, I never should have pranked Chris.
Oh, I see an opportunity growing. Go ahead.
Can I dress up as Chris?
Why do you got to make this weird, Jamie?
Whatever floats your boat, mate.
Right. Do we think female makers in the YouTube world have an advantage over guys?
No, they're perfectly equal in every way.
Or do they have an uphill struggle?
I'll throw myself out there. I'll throw myself under the bus. I think they have got an advantage in the way that they're going to inspire that many more people, because how many young girls are out there who may have that spark of interest in making, and compared to guys out there isn't that many numbers wise of role models to look up to. So when you've got your April Wilkerson, your Laura Kampf and people like that are really taking the flag and going forward and showing, look, everybody can do this, everybody can get involved. I think that's where the advantage comes from.
No, I agree. I totally agree with that. But here's my perspective on that. Yes, I think that females that are in, let's just say the woodworking community, for instance, if they get into the woodworking community and put themselves out on YouTube, they're going to get a lot of attention because they are not the norm.
Yeah.
Because the stereotypes don't typically have a woman in a shop playing with a table saw, router, and sandpaper and things of that nature. But here's the kicker to that. If they don't prove themselves to be worthy of that recognition, then they get dismissed very quickly, and perhaps even quicker than guys do. And let's also add that the YouTube and putting yourself out there experience for girls in a male format lends them to probably a lot of kind of male chauvinist type, let's just put it politely, type of comments that we would never get, because they get a lot of ooh baby kind of, to put it politely, kind of comments on the things that they do, even though they have proven they are worthy. And April Wilkerson is a perfect example, because there's a girl, a wonderful lady who I happen to have met, who is a fantastic maker, and she gets a lot of attention, probably, and some of it due to the fact that she does good work. But she may have caught initial attention because she was a female, but she earned where she is today. but she still has to face that kind of male ridicule, and she's dealing with trolls that beyond how we deal with trolls. I mean, that's a whole different spectrum for them. So yes, they have it easier to begin with. Do they have it easier down the road? I don't know. I think they just have it differently than we do. That's all.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if Jamie would add to this as well, because he and I have met April in person when she was in London on a stopover, and I was talking to her for probably half an hour, and she sort of opened up and said that she'd had the kind of comments that the male woodworkers just wouldn't get, and we'll leave it at that. And that surprised me at the time, but when you think about it, you think, yeah, I mean, you're just dealing with human beings. It's strikingly obvious when you think about it that they're going to get issues that we don't even think about, let alone have to deal with. So on the one hand, I think they have a huge disadvantage because of the whole stereotype and all the rest of it.
Absolutely.
But on the other hand, because of the sort of the bad side of society, shall we say, they probably have a recognition advantage.
Well, they have an advantage because they are unique, as opposed to the rest of us out here. Yeah, and so it works both ways. So I don't think it's gender specific. I think that we all have the same shot. We all just have different ways of getting it. That's all.
Right. We got time for one more question. Yeah, I think we'll go with one more. We'll if we push over a couple of minutes, then just sit in the car park and be a couple of minutes late for work. You can blame me. I'd love to start making my own stuff, but I don't have the tools many of you have, nor do I have the money to go out and buy them. The desire's there, but I don't have the means. Got any help?
Patience, my friend, would be my first recommendation, because I come from a very humble beginnings, and what you see that I have in my shop took me years to acquire, because I just never had the money to go out and buy a complete shop and set things up the way Mark Spagnolo has his shop. And to this day, I still don't want to spend that kind of money on those kind of tools. I don't need to. I started out with a present from my parents, which was a scroll saw that was given to me. That was the first tool I ever owned. And from there, I went out and bought my hammer. I went out and bought a couple screwdrivers and gradually built things up. So I guess the best, if you really have a strong desire, then have a little patience, because everything doesn't come at once. I mean, unless you've got a big fat wad of money in your pocket, and obviously this gentleman doesn't, then just have some patience. Acquire what you can that you feel is quality at a bargain, and put it in your arsenal, and then go from there. And just keep doing that and keep doing it, and eventually you'll get there.
I can't afford tools myself, and just like Chris said, take your time and buy used. Everything I have is used, and it all works fantastically. I think I've been burned maybe once out of this entire shop, but I set this entire shop up for less than $500. It does not take that much at all, and you don't have to have $500 in your hand at the time. Like I said, buy things over time. I wasn't actually working for about 6 months after I started buying tools. And you could start with a miter box and a saw and a little thing of glue, and that's it. You're making. That's all it takes.
I mean, you could easily do a complete portrait with a coping saw. You know, it's technically just a handheld scroll saw. It would take a lot of time, but it's easily done.
I mean, you can get your fix with a lot of different crafts as well. If you really was like, right, no money's leaving my hand, just look around what you got around your house. I'm sure you got a pair of scissors. I'm sure you got some sticky tape or something like that, and you can get your making fix with bits of paper and old envelopes and plastic bottles and stuff. But same as Alan, I started with all second-hand tools. I was constantly looking in the paper if anybody was giving stuff away for free and everything, and I picked them up, jigsaw, drill. That's what I started with. And then later down the line, when I got the money saved and I realised I'm using this drill a lot, I might as well invest in a better one, and I went and brought a new one. But that was a couple of years down the line. So don't think that you need to spend the big money to get started. You really don't. Just look what you got around you. I'm sure you got more than you realise when you start looking.
Absolutely. If the desire is genuinely there, and it sounds like it is, then the patience will be there, and things will kick in. And, you don't even necessarily have to buy stuff. If you've got the desire and you start thinking about it, you start talking to people that are like-minded, they'll know people who know people that might have stuff just kicking around in the shed that you can, start cobbling things together. And before you know it, you'll be needing to move house with another room, and you will not have the space. And
of course, you've always got car boot sales and things like that as well.
Absolutely, definitely. Well, I'm kind of conscious of the time here. We've got loads of really good questions. I think we could probably just do the same time again, but your boss, if you're sitting in your car in the car park waiting to go into work, your boss is probably going to give you a sack if we go through many more questions. So I think let's maybe revisit some of these really good questions another time. What do you reckon, guys? Is that?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, great.
Yeah, if there's anybody else out there that's listening that has questions that maybe we haven't addressed today, then you know what? You know the social media formats. Richard will give them out at the end of the show. Send them our way.
Absolutely. I mean, I really like this sort of format of a show, and helping people out as much as just talking about various other things. It's more specific for you guys listening. So right, okay, then we'll just draw a line under that for this episode. What's everyone watching at the moment? Jamie, what videos have you been in your 3 million subscribed list? Which one pops out at you?
Well, I actually came across this guy last night on the Maritime Maker Show. He was a spotlight. He's a great guy to talk to. It's Conrad Stoll. I checked it. I think he's only got about 4 videos on his channel at the moment. And he only had, I think he had 9 subs when Matt Brander contacted him, and I think we're trying to get him over 100 at the moment at least. So we're trying to get him as many subs as we possibly can. So yeah, if everyone can go and give him a quick sub, that'd be great.
And that's Conrad
Dole.
Is that with a C or a K?
It's with a G.
No, it's a C. Conreg.
Conreg, gotcha.
With a G.
Excellent. What about yourself, Alan? Who are you watching at the minute?
I have been watching Eloy Escajada over at Escajada Woodworks, and not so much his build videos. What just came through was that Hurricane Matthew, is it called?
Yeah.
Yeah, he just went through Hurricane Matthew, and he's been putting up daily update videos on it and what his family's been going through and what the community has been going through. And I think Izzy Swan also elaborated on it. He had a video where he was getting out of Dodge, and I just found it really interesting. And watching it to the end and seeing that him and his family went through it just fine, and everybody's great and safe and happy. I was on the edge of my seat. It was, you watch the one video and then you think, 24 hours till I'm going to hear from him again now. And I'm sitting there trying to message him on Facebook. And of course he's not answering because he's got no service. And I was on the edge of my seat. So go over and show the man some love. He just went through a hurricane.
Absolutely. And I can relate to that because I actually went to Fort Polk in Louisiana about 2 weeks after Katrina hit. And we, yeah, I wouldn't wish that on anyone. So I've seen it from a distance, but firsthand. So yeah, definitely
Still devastating.
Some love. Absolutely. Right, on a hopefully slightly lighter note, what about you, Joe? What are you up to?
Well, one of my favourite videos that I've caught recently was some hand-forged roses, and that was by the Two of a Kind Blacksmithing and Fabrication, and it's Josh and Toby, and they do brilliant work. They're like teamwork between the two. They get on really well, and from scratch, literally just taking a chunk of metal, and they forge these roses, and they paint some of them, and they leave some of them natural, and just, I don't know, I've never done anything like that, so I'm fascinated by it, and just seeing like the cherry red metal and just the bending of it. I don't know what it is. I got to give it a go for myself, but I highly recommend that video. You got to check that one out.
Yeah, there's one thing about when you're working with wood and you're shavings going everywhere and all the rest of it, but when you get wood, it doesn't relate in the same way as metal. When you start twisting it around and it changes color, it's a completely different beast. But okay, Chris, I'm going to skip you for this one because we've basically been ignoring you for parts of the episode. I've been watching I've been watching the Badger Workshop, and that came about. This is a guy I'd never heard of. It's completely off my radar, and he left a comment on. Was it? I can't even remember. I don't know if he left a comment on YouTube or he might have given us a rating on iTunes. But I went over and had a look at his channel, and he's got some really cool stuff on there. There's a lot of woodworking things, as a leather project, and they're really well put together with a nice mix of tool sounds and audio, and also a bit of voiceover work as well. They're all blended really nicely together. It was almost like watching a properly produced TV program. So I'm going to head over there and watch a load of his other stuff as well. So, all right then, Chris, come on then. What are you watching, mate? Chris, he's ignoring me now because
no. Well, yeah, no. I'm getting slighted all over the place today.
It's pick on Chris night.
Yeah, it is, apparently. I have actually a couple I would like to just throw out there real quick. And the first gentleman I came by, believe it or not, was Stephen Zhang. I don't know if that's the correct pronunciation of his last name. His last name is pronounced, or actually spelled, Zhang. Stephen Zhang, I guess, I hope I'm saying that right. This is a high school kid. And he's got some videos out on his channel, and he put out a video about building a wooden watch. He built a wooden watch.
A watch?
Yeah, a watch. Seriously, he got over 27,000 views, but this kid only has like 400 subscribers. So
what?
I want to show this. Yeah, and he's got, yeah, you need to go check him out because he's currently building a panther router. He's doing the Matthias Wandel approach, I suppose. I don't know. But I have another one I want to mention as well. And seriously, go check out Stephen Zhang if you haven't. Zhang. But I don't know about you guys, but I love projects that have like an emotional attachment to them. People who put out videos that have, I don't know, a feel to them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so I've got to give some love to my neighbor, and he's the closest maker neighbor I have, and that would be my buddy Tim Sway over at Tim Sway Perspectives, and also a member of a fantastic podcast called Reclaimed Audio. So I want to show those guys some love today if I could as well. But Tim Sway put out a video last Saturday that he did for his daughter, his stepdaughter. And it's titled A Meaningful Birthday Gift from Reclaimed Materials. And I don't want to give away what the whole story was about, but it was a great story. And Tim, fantastic video, man. I'm glad you did that. So big shout out to Tim. That's who I've been watching.
Fantastic. So I've really enjoyed tonight. Where can we find you, Chris, if we don't already know?
Well, you know what? I don't have an alias, so I feel kind of left out because everybody here has an alias. So, I mean, there's Jamie with JP Woodworks, Alan with, I'm just Chris Cute. Look for me on YouTube under Chris Cute. Maybe I do. I have a Make the First Cut page on Facebook, so you can find me there.
Excellent. Joe?
Just Average Joe's Joinery everywhere. YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Easy enough to find.
Alan?
Guys, real quick, as the Canadian here of Makers International, I have to say a very big happy Thanksgiving to everybody in Canada today. But you can find me on YouTube and Facebook under the Woodworking Junkie.
Magic. And Jamie, how about yourself?
You can find me on YouTube at JP Woodwork and Instagram and Twitter.
Fantastic. Well, thanks for everyone for listening. I've been Rick Morley. You can find me at brainfizz.uk and under my name on YouTube. Don't forget to give us a rating, hit us up on all the social medias, and we will be hopefully back here next week at the same time. So thanks for joining in, guys. We'll see you next time.
Rock and roll. Talk to you guys next week.
See you next week.
See you later.
Have a week.